Pablo Torre has some behind-the-scenes footage of Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend, maybe now 25. I think, and this is the only thing I couldn't figure out, I don't think this is from this year. This seems a year old, if not 2 years old, or maybe it is from this year. I'm not sure, but let's play the clip.
Necessary to say keep them out of the end zone because I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory on defense. I don't know if there's like an additional point.
Yeah. It's a
100%. 100%.
I feel like that applies to all defenses.
Well, no, but we just said that the Cowboys' offense is the best offense in the league. They have the most yards per game. So they're going to get the ball down there. Mm-hmm. We know they're going to get the ball down there. Preventing touchdowns and forcing the field goals is going to be a key to the game.
Yep.
I mean, we could say it differently.
Is that red zone specific, conceptually?
Well,
Should that say red zone instead of end zone?
well, there's explosive plays involved.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
I don't know how they have 4 full-time graphics people.
I can't do
Right.
That's not really Joe's thing. That's what I was just talking about. It's not really Joe's thing. Like, could we teach him to do it? Yeah, but then he becomes a graphics guy, and we need somebody who did that for us, and we have to figure out who's available to do that. You know,
Who knows how to arrange the stats? Because I have a graphics person who helped me with the website.
We need a football person.
I think they're using all of the underdog people from the other things and don't know how to do anything else aside from what they do on all the other shows, which honestly, frankly, really isn't that good.
So, I have more experience, I would think, than you and Paul with sugar babies. Let's just keep the whole. I got more experience than you.
I can confirm that. Yes.
Yes, and so none of this conversation, none of this video, to me, is a bad look for Belichick. In my view, this is what I expected. This is what this looks and sounds like. And so what I felt, I felt uncomfortable, and I've watched this now 3 times today. I feel uncomfortable watching it. I feel like this is an incredible invasion of privacy. I feel like it's an indication that someone at NFL Films absolutely hates Bill Belichick and wants to embarrass him. And I feel like, is Belichick that bad of a person? It makes me question, like, what did Belichick do to someone in the NFL Films that they would leak this and want to embarrass him this way? Or is there someone at NFL Films that's just a terrible person and just wants to embarrass Belichick despite him having done nothing? Anybody that's listened to me on this show knows I don't approve of what Bill Belichick's doing. He's 73 years old. This is a 24, 25-year-old woman. If he wants to scratch his sugar baby itch, there are plenty of 40-year-old women out there that look really good that would love to be Bill Belichick's girlfriend, and that's what he should be doing. I find the entire Belichick Jordon Hudson thing gross. This is his grandchild or could be his grandchild. So this isn't me trying to defend Bill Belichick, but I actually believe he is the victim here. Point 2, she sounds no different than Mina Kimes, than Joy Taylor, than Katie Nolan. When they're sitting around a bunch of men talking sports and pretending like they can talk sports on that level. No different than any of them. And so Katie Nolan sitting there acting like that this woman's out of bounds and I can't believe she's talking this way. I was like, have you ever watched Katie, turn on Garbage Time? That was the name of her show on Fox Sports. Her show was called Garbage Time, and it appropriately named. And there were men behind the scenes. I'm not saying this to embarrass any of these men. I'm just speaking factually so that everybody understands. I'm not making this up, but Gabe Godwin, they programmed Katie Nolan what to say. And they did this and do this for not all, but many of the women in sports media. That there's someone in their ear, someone. Katie Nolan's show used to come on once a week, and it was a 20-30 minute show, and it would take her all week to prepare for it and for them to program her for it. She couldn't do live TV. She had a group of men trying to prop her up as a sports TV star as if she knew what she was talking about. She looked, sounded, and no different than Jordon Hudson. And won't put a name to it or names to it, but like if you take the Joy Taylor lawsuit, there's a bunch of women that were sleeping with, or a bunch, well, let's keep it real, a bunch of women that were sleeping with executives for jobs on TV. No different than Jordon Hudson. She's sleeping with Bill Belichick for her fame and all this other stuff. So I would just tell all the people, Katie Nolan, let's start there because she's on tape here like, oh my God, look at Jordon Hudson. She looks so stupid. And I can't believe she's saying, this is the same thing we thought watching you do Garbage Time. And the other shows that you've been on. And so that is my take on it, that it's a violation of Bill Belichick's privacy that seems unfair. The behavior between Belichick and Jordon Hudson doesn't seem unusual, or even it seemed more normal than what I probably suspected. Anyway, that's my take. I'll let you guys react to that.
But I have a couple thoughts, Jason. The first one, I do agree that like it's always a violation of your privacy when there's leaked hot mic stuff. That's obvious. But it's also not the first time we've seen weird behavior. Remember the CBS interview where Jordon Hudson was coming in and she's like, nope, stop it. We're not talking about that. Like, it's weird behavior. You know,
What about her behavior here, though, was weird? That, what you're talking about, was weird. This here, just having had experience, that doesn't seem weird to me.
Well, it depends on, because remember, I think this is right around the time they went public with their relationship. And if you listen to Pablo Torre, and I don't know the answer to this, so I'm making the assumption that he's correct, that these people at NFL Films didn't even know who she was or what she was doing. And suddenly she's coming there to tell them what to do. And they're like, who are you? What's going on here? And it turns out that it's Belichick's girlfriend who he's promoted to the Belichick media relations. So, I mean, that is weird. And you could see why.
Okay, let me ask you this. When the Dallas Mavericks named that black woman the CEO of the Dallas Mavericks, has no experience in the sports world, knows nothing about basketball. This is commonplace in corporate America. Women showing up in male spaces where people, if their brains were rigged right, would be like, hey, what are you doing here? What's your job? And everybody just grits their teeth and says, hey, the company installed her. Or, look, some black dude, some gay person, some DEI hire. She's a DEI hire. And these people that are complaining, Pablo, Katie Nolan, they're DEI people. They believe in DEI.
Sure. And look, so I'm asking this not argumentatively, because I've not been in those rooms, but she doesn't work for NFL Films, right? So wouldn't it be weird for an outside person who just happens to be Belichick's lackey to come in and start kind of barking?
She works for Bill Belichick. And so, no, I don't think it's... I think it's inappropriate, but I don't think it's weird. This is the society that the left has created. And the left is now acting like, oh, this is crazy. There's a woman with a job she doesn't deserve in the sports world, and she got it because she's sleeping with a powerful man, and now everybody has to put up with her? Hello? And I'm the bad guy because when Joy Taylor showed up, I was like, I don't want no parts of this. Not qualified. She's probably sleeping with somebody. And it's just trouble. And it won't be good for my show. I was the bad guy for that. And I'm still the bad guy for that. But this is the world that we've created. And to me, watching leftists laugh and mock Jordon Hudson when they've done the same thing, And again, if I really wanted to be, and I'm sure Katie Nolan meltdown and everybody how unfair I am to Katie Nolan, I'm just scratching the surface on what I could say. I'm being very nice. And Katie Nolan, I'm being very nice to. Joy Taylor, I'm being very nice to. A lot of these women, I'm being very, some of them I like. But I know the reality of, and it's not just the on-air people. There'll be executives showing, I'm not going to put a name on this because they're not a public figure. But again, you have people show up that they're representing a media company, and they deal with, I forget the name of the job, but their job is basically to deal with the media. Media has questions. And you put a woman in that job, and she thinks her job is to make sure no one calls and complains. When I used to live in a time where you would put someone in that job because that person would say, yeah, I'm going to have to deal with people's complaints and I'm going to have to talk some sense into them. That's my job, to deal with the idiots that call in with complaints. Now you put a woman who's uncomfortable with conflict and she thinks her job is to stop people from calling in and complaining. And the way to do that is to control people like Jason Whitlock to make sure they say nothing that people will complain about. Women aren't good in conflict. And so every time you put them in these positions where there's going to be conflict, they actually shut down reality. That's how we move off into this fantasy world where you can sit there and say that some man is actually a woman.
You're making a different argument that I don't disagree with.
Yeah.
I said it's weird, not that Katie Nolan is not a hypocrite. Because that's the argument you turn to there.
Yeah.
All these women are doing it. They're all hypocrites. But to the general public who's seeing it for the first time, I mean, it is weird, right? And that's why the Joy Taylor thing was such a big story, because everybody found out about it. And they're like, oh, that's weird. I wouldn't have expected that. And people like you who, live behind the scenes. Yes. But it doesn't make it any less weird. Weird is a perception, right? Normal might be the reality, but nobody knows about that stuff. So when we look at this tape and we're like, well, that's weird. It's especially, there's a 50-year difference between these two people, and she's coming in to tell him how to talk about football and what the graphics need to look like for a show that she doesn't work on. That's weird.
Don't miss a second of Fearless. Hit that like button and subscribe to keep up with our latest content.